There are still fierce splits over the shared vision, which is setting a global goal for what we're trying to do with the overall process here in terms of limiting temperature increases to 2 degrees or below from pre-industrial levels. Similarly, setting a number for a year for when we will have a global peak in emissions and global emissions will start to decline. If you want to have a chance of staying below 2 degrees or at 1.5 degrees, that global peak has to be within the next few years, and then the reductions have to be very serious. But if you don't have a shared vision, you don't know where you're going.
The big news today was that the African nations gave a speech in the hall of the plenary that ended up leading to a small break in the negotiations. They're now back on right now. The ministers are all in the plenary hall as we speak, negotiating again. But it really led nations to confront that we weren't on track to reach the deal that the poorest and most vulnerable countries wanted.
The Africans are very concerned that we will come out of here without a clear mandate to continue the Kyoto Protocol.
So this is a survival issue for the continent of Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa is already at its limits coping with the day-to-day pressures from the poverty crisis, and on top of that, they're now having to deal with the climate crisis.
The first one is a financial gap where money is not on the table. And it's a particularly dangerous thing because a lot of countries were told that if they were to come to Copenhagen with targets, the money would be here, and it's not.
The developing countries have put forward some really impressive numbers in the weeks up to Copenhagen. We saw China come forward with an announcement, India, Brazil, South Africa, South Korea, Singapore, Indonesia. So the question we're all asking now is, where is that support from the international community? Where is this cornerstone of the negotiations, the long-term finance? Where is the money going to come from? What are the sources?
The second gap, what I think is even more problematic, is the ambition gap. Countries were supposed to come here and indicate, after understanding science better, even larger and more ambitious emission cuts, and that's not happening. Final point, and I think it's the biggest gap we have, is the political gap. There's simply no political will here. And I think what we have here for heads of state arriving on Wednesday is a crime scene. We're lining up the yellow ribbon, setting up the stage to say, okay, civil society was right. The negotiators do not have the political ability and the mandate to solve this. We indeed need head of states to cut the deal.
We really need leadership from heads of state at this point. We know from the United States that we need President Obama to come and make it clear that this is a priority for him and that countries this time around can trust that the U.S. is going to act. They've got to hear that from him personally because the signals haven't necessarily been going in that direction.